What is up, survivors? Today we're going to be talking about taming the Procoptodon, the giant kangaroo. One of my favorite, probably is my most favorite animal. Look at that face. How could you not love that face? And little radar ears going on. It's amazing. Anyhow, the giant kangaroo has a heck of a lot of uses, and you'll typically see these guys in scorched earth environments kind of running around out here. We're out here on Ragnarok, and they're kind of spread out all over the place, but typically that's where you're going to see these guys in these arid sort of environments. They are a herbivore that will require rare mushrooms to tame. You will have to knockout tame these guys. It's a little bit tricky, but we will show you how to do that. They do need a saddle, and that saddle is unlocked at level 23. You do have to make it a smithy, requiring fiber, hide, metal, and pelt to make. First and foremost, while I'm riding on the back, I can shoot while on the back of this guy, so you can operate on the back of it. It's really fast and really good on stamina. It has a charged jump ability, so you can hold in spacebar or whatever the jump key is if you're on console, let it go, and this kangaroo will go flying. They take incredibly reduced fall damage, so you can do this without pretty much any fear of getting killed just jumping from high distances. You're probably going to be just fine. And yeah, so making travel significantly easier. I like actually being able to shoot from this mount because he sits a little bit higher up and you can see clearly over top of his head. Sometimes with some mounts, you sit a little bit lower and it doesn't quite work just as well, but definitely works well with this guy. Now, this animal's only a level 21. As you can see, the weight stats are already pretty good, and they're really good on stamina, making these guys really good haulers as well. It's pretty good for transporting resources back and forth. Another thing to mention is that they do have a pouch on them. They have a pouch up front, and anybody can ride in there, to include tribe mates. You can actually have two people riding this thing, and the tribe mate inside the pouch can do all sorts of stuff for you. I think I can run in here. Forward pouch, yep. So now I'm sitting in the pouch of this thing, and yeah, that's how it goes. You can sit in the pouch, you can still shoot, you can still harvest resources, so it's definitely a two-person gig, making it a little bit cooler for resource gathering, because it can harvest stuff while you're inside the pouch. You could have your buddy inside the pouch with like a pick or a chainsaw or whatever, and just walk the kangaroo up here, and they can break the stuff for you, making resource gathering pretty easy for you. Again, transporting is really cool too. The other notable thing that you can do with this thing is you can put a lystro inside of the pouch, and the lystro can get the XP boost while inside the pouch, making that a bit more mobile as far as that cool little XP boost that you get from them. The same pouch that we're talking about can also carry most shoulder pets and actually a lot of baby dinos as well, so you can use those to transport your babies as well. The other thing involving that is while the creatures are inside of the pouch, and if I have two roos, a male and female, so they're mate boosted, and I have a infant baby inside of the pouch of the kangaroo, the female, whenever the imprint timer times around and I do whatever the imprint requires me to do, it'll actually double the amount of imprint affinity I get as long as it's inside there. Pretty cool option. So definitely pretty useful if you're doing that as well. You're getting speed, you're getting mobility, you're getting a decent amount of hauling, and you're getting some cool little imprinting bonuses as well for your baby dinos. It is a berry harvester. You have this kick option, which tends to help a lot. It'll pick up some thatch and stuff for you as well. Rare mushrooms off of the trees that offer those as well. This kick actually harvests a pretty decent amount of berries. The kick also does a knockback as well, so you can definitely protect yourself a bit more. Between that and the jump, there's not a whole lot of things that are going to be able to get to because you can escape pretty easily. And as you can see, I can knock back things of significant size to me, and they won't actually bother me. Time that with this super jump, and you can get in and out of just about anywhere you need to pretty quickly. So I can't necessarily dish it out with this. If I'm running the right equipment, like if I have the right guns, I can actually take out pretty much most things that just about anything that I would need to. These are very versatile creatures. This is probably why it's one of my favorite creatures to tame here in Ark, mainly because of its versatility. I get a good travel mount, I get a speed, I get hauling, I get the ability, if using the right weapons, I get the ability to pump out some damage along the way. I'm also fast, so I can chase down a lot of other creatures that might be hard to tame or hard to take out. I can get myself out of hairy situations, I can carry tribe mates, and I can help raise the babies of other creatures while I have this guy too. As far as being able to carry those infants inside the pouch, it'll only be able to do that for a certain amount of time. Obviously, the baby will get too big and it won't work. Definitely check out the Ark Gamepedia for the full list on that one. But most creatures at the very smallest will be able to do that. And then once you have the baby near the pouch, you have this pick up option, and it'll list in here if it can pick it up, and it'll just pop it right in the pouch. Anyhow, that's the Procoptodon. Again, it's probably one of my favorite mounts for that reason. It's just so many different things that these guys can do and that they're good at. The jump is amazing. I don't take very much fall damage. I mean, there's definitely cons too, right? Like, in and of itself, it's not going to pump out a lot of melee damage, but it can avoid a lot of melee conflicts with the kick attack. Also, not a huge fan of swimming. Not going to be a very good swimmer for you either. They are mammalian. You can breed them. That's pretty straightforward. Just, I don't think it's anything crazy outside of normal gestation mating sort of thing. As far as taming them, it can be a little tricky, and we're going to get into that why in just a few. All right, so taming a Procoptodon can be a little tricky, mainly because these guys will flee at a moment's notice, and they're very fast, and you can't pick them up with any flyers, actually. The only thing that can carry these things are Tusos. Large bear traps will work, and what I find is usually, especially if you're doing this on foot, bolas won't work on this thing either. Get kind of close to where these guys wander around, and they'll generally wander around in the same area. And what we're going to do is just sit a couple of these traps down in this general area where it wanders in hopes that it's going to return. Now, this method might not sound like it's all that great, and honestly, it's kind of hit or miss whether this will work. But the problem is if you're on foot, trying to tame one of these things on foot is pretty impossible. But what I'm hoping for is that he just turns around. There we go. Sets the trap off. Bam. There we're good. So they'll pretty much roam around as long as they're not terrified by anything. You can pretty much just knock them out in the same general area, as long as there's nothing there to. Aha! There we go. And he's out like a light. So we're good. We got a female level 14. Okay, cool. So when you're taming these guys, they don't go through narcotics terribly quick, but they will go through them. They actually want rare mushrooms or plant species X to tame. I would highly recommend mushrooms as it's significantly faster. So as I said, taming these guys can be kind of a pain in the butt. Mainly because, like I said, no other flyers can carry them. You're pretty much the Tuso is the only thing that can grab it. Your large bear traps are pretty much the only way. If you're running certain mods and certain things like that, you'll be able to get around it. But standardly in vanilla settings, trying to track one of these down and chase it down is kind of difficult. So I would highly recommend having another mount. This is one of those mounts this is one of those tames where you probably need another mount. If you get lucky like I did, if you watch the roos, they normally, especially when they're around water like that, they won't avidly go out into the water unless they're running from a threat. So you can kind of use that to bottleneck them in and just lay a few bear traps down, and eventually they'll drop right into them. And as you saw, knocked it out fairly quickly. I would highly advise using something like shocking tranquilizer darts, because the darts will be, you won't need nearly as many to knock them out a lot faster. Again, they do require the rare mushrooms or the plant species X to tame, but they'll just eat berries after they're tamed. So no big deal there. And as we can see, they've been fairly good at harvesting that. So like I said, I'm pretty good at picking up thatch. I pick up berries pretty well. So this is a pretty good early berry harvester. Well, not even early berry harvester, but pretty good berry harvester in general for you. I mean, this is pretty cool. And the weight stat levels up pretty nicely, as we can see. You can even, I've even had these guys doing my metal harvesting for me because I've just taken them out there. Or you can do it like a double team thing. Like I said, you could have a tribe mate in the pouch with you, knocking out the metal while you're walking around. Definitely a fun tame to use too. Something like this to be able to just run around and do all sorts of crazy stuff with. The idea that I can just, the fact that I can just do this. This in and of itself is already fun for me. Makes it easily, and it's very multifunctional, right? Like when I first saw these guys, when they first came out, when we were using them in Scorched Earth, I kind of thought that maybe they were good there, but may not be good on other biomes. But really, because of their jump ability and their relatively small size for what they do, you can actually finagle them in a lot of different places pretty easily. Even when it's like a lot of tree heavy foliage, you can jump around pretty well. But that's pretty much it. That's the Procoptodon. Anyway, guys, that is the taming of the Procoptodon, the giant kangaroo, the Hoposaurus Rex. I think Hoposaurus Rex. That's pretty much what I name them all the time. I call them the Hoposaurus Rex, or a Hopopotamus, something like that. Usually a play on words around it. Captain Kangaroo seems a little too on the nose. You know what I mean? Definitely too on the nose. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you on the next one.